Welcome.
Well, thank you.
How does that
Are we
sound?
on?
I want to get the most out of this chat for the attendees here. So let's jump right in, Treasa.
All right.
Welcome. We just heard about your impressive career at 7-Eleven. So why don't we start there? At its best, human resources is about the individual. So what has human resources meant to you in your climb up the corporate ladder?
Oh, so this is really an interesting story. At least I think so. Because I never actually intended to get into human resources. I started my career as an operations management trainee with 7-Eleven. You heard in the intro that I originally wanted to pursue a path in finance and banking, and so that's where I thought I was going to spend my career. But I was recruited to 7-Eleven as an operations management trainee, and what I was told then was that it was going to be an opportunity to grow, learn, impact. I'd learn about business, I'd learn about leading people, and I would be stretched. That is fact, and that is what has kept me in this organization over multiple years. I've done a lot of different things in this company. My entree into human resources was through learning and development. It was called training at that time. I was convinced that that was going to be my path because it's all about the people. Everything that we do is about the people. What I didn't know then that I've learned over time is how diversified the whole space of human resources is. And I've been able to do some of the specialist work and a lot of the generalist work. I also get to lead an incredible team that I get to learn from.
Fantastic. Well, 7-Eleven, very large company, largest convenience retailer by some counts. Take us inside what it means to be the Chief Human Resources Officer for such a large company. Tell us what your workforce looks like.
Okay, so imagine this. 13,000 stores spread across 47 of the top 50 urban areas in the country. And in Canada, a combination of both company-operated and franchise-operated stores, 2 store support centers, one in Enid, Ohio, and one in Irving, Texas, a field support team that is helping to support those 13,000 stores, and then all of the additional support, indirect support. So there are either people that are serving our customers directly or the rest of us who are supporting the stores and those that are serving the customers. It's a very complex environment. So you add on top of all of that, multi-generational, as you heard just a few moments ago. We have all 5 age groups represented in our workforce and in our franchisees. We are multiple brands. We have a convenience store business, a restaurant business. You know, we started out almost 100 years ago, 1927, right here in Dallas. We were an ice house by our founder, Joe Thompson, who had a philosophy then, give the customers what they want, when they want it, and where they want it. And he had a store manager named Johnny Green who figured out that they weren't delivering on that promise because his customers wanted milk, eggs, and bread on the weekend. And at that time, grocery stores closed on the weekend. So he did what we all call now, created a business case, went to his owner and said, I need an investment in some shelving. And that shelving allowed him to have that product available for his customers. It was a huge success. And 7-Eleven really established the convenience store business. We've been innovating with 24/7 hour operations, fresh to go coffee, fuel, big gulps. Raise your hand if you've ever had a Slurpee. Don't raise your hand if you haven't. But we've been innovating ever since, and all of that innovation is ongoing. It has to be. Yeah. How we continue to galvanize and be relevant to our customers is what we get to do in human resources and finding the talent that enables that.
Okay, let's dive into that for a moment, because it's so interesting to talk about the original business case and doing something different. How does innovation apply to human resources? Because you could roll your eyes or say AI, of course, but like there's got to be an approach that matches up with that ethos to really drive home the value, like for C-suite leaders, right? Like what you're doing to match that history of innovation with the HR task.
Oh, on so many levels. So our strategy really, our people strategy is about attracting, retaining, and developing talent. And that probably does not sound like rocket science. Everybody that's got an HR strategy should have those components. But it matters to us that we're fostering diversity and inclusion. It matters to us that we're optimizing our resources and that we do it efficiently. And that's where technology comes in. Matters to us that we're developing a culture where people actually want to commit and thrive, and we in HR get to be facilitators and stewards of all of that. From a technology innovation perspective, how we attract people has to evolve. It has evolved and is going to continue to evolve. I'll use one example. So we have about 80,000 or so employees. The bulk of those are in our stores. In today's really competitive war for talent, and I mean, we used to say war for talent, but post-COVID, it is serious. Yeah. It is a serious war for talent. Whoever gets to the candidate first has the best shot at bringing that candidate onto the team. And so we've had to innovate. Our talent acquisition team has done a great job of leveraging AI to help us get to that workforce very quickly. So we're able to, within 85% of the candidates are able to apply and be scheduled for an interview within an hour, and within 3 days from time of interview it takes us about 3 days from time of interview to the day they're able to start work. And so that's just one. Yes, that's just one example. Our learning and development team has had to do the same thing, innovating on so many different levels because people learn in so many different ways now. Yeah. And the device they want to use, whether they want to be leader-led, whether they want it to be a facilitated conversation, if they want to learn on their own, if they want a menu of options. We've had to innovate, and we're going to continue to have to. And that, for me, is really the message within HR is if you think you know HR, then you're not really doing HR because it's continuing to evolve like everything else around us. Yeah, it's a process that's built on people, which is the variable Absolutely. That's always changing in businesses. Absolutely. But how many of you talk about your people are your most important asset? I mean, it's true. It's like where most of our IP is tied up as a newspaper company, and so it makes sense that it's such a focus for technology for the C-suite. What about let's talk about outside of 7-Eleven for a moment. What are you seeing shape the HR business right now? I know that you brought up using AI in your processes. Do you think that will continue to grow and be an influence? Do you have any worries about that? Or what are the most important trends in this business that we should all be thinking about? So I think there are a lot of things. How people want to work, what work means, AI and its implications, upskilling and reskilling people so that they can continue to evolve as the work changes, and what that means about processes. What's happening from a business trend perspective, I think within HR, we need to continue to be educated about what's happening on the people side of the business, but also what's happening from a business trend perspective, because within HR, we should be responding to current business needs and anticipating what's coming and what does that mean for the human capital of the organization. So I think that we spend a lot of energy on that across my team, and things are changing so fast. So I think the speed and urgency and the ability to pivot is really important within HR, just as it is in business. Be responsive. Absolutely. So what? Actually, let me take a little detour for a second.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts are hugely important. I think we all understand that, but they're not talked about as much as they were a few years ago. It seems like that's a shame, and that the business community had kind of taken a leadership position in this field and is now sometimes in the back foot, depending on the company. How often does that come up in talent acquisition meetings? What does that mean to your business?
So I'm really grateful that I get to work in an organization where DEI was not a trend or a fad that we latched on to. It's something that we've been committed to my entire career. I'd like to think that I'm an example of it, but I'm not the only one. And diversity and inclusion and belonging, that's been really important and core to our business, because it's who our customers are, it's who our franchisees are, and therefore absolutely who our employees are. It's a business imperative for us, that's plain and simple. It also is a compelling reason for why people would choose to work with us. It helps people to understand what our values are, how are we showing up in the community, and the ways in which we champion culture and education about culture and awareness and the opportunities to grow and learn, the opportunity to get involved in the community, and to continue to perpetuate what is fact, is that we are better together. And the more that we think differently because we have different experiences and orientations, the more likely we are to be creative and innovative, which is our differentiator.
Yeah, and so being about that, honestly being about it too, because otherwise when it isn't in vogue, it becomes cut from the conversation.
I'm really glad that you made that point, because it's a trust proposition as well, right? So the employee value proposition, D&I is a part of that, is a part of the employee value proposition. But trust is a big part of that too. And so if organizations aren't doing what they say they're going to do, or what they say they're about, employees leave. There are too many choices in today's economy for them not to. And there's a good number of them that haven't even come back to work since the COVID pandemic. So giving people reasons to say yes to your organization, to our organization, and also giving them reasons to stay. What's the glue that's going to create the stick is how you live it out, how you live out the values and the principles. And that requires consistency. Trust equals consistency.
I wonder, you talked about the huge store network, and I saw a few hundred more being added with that deal with Sunoco. So a huge network. I wonder how you emphasize the importance in the store as well as in the corporate setting. I imagine, well, maybe one is easier, maybe one isn't, but how do you bridge that and stress the importance of HR, belonging, even DE&I in both the store and corporate setting?
So it starts with simple things like doing training that's relevant at that store level for our store sales associates and our store leaders. So that's a foundational element, but our leadership principles and values apply to every entity, business unit, department, function in our organization, and how they come to life differs based on the work. But for our stores, it's almost easier because they know the customers that they serve don't all look the same and act the same and want the same. We even know in our business that we've got to tailor our store assortment, the products that our customers buy, for the customers in that particular area. That's another element of diversity. That's how we bring it to life in the stores. They know that not every customer wants the same thing at every 7-Eleven store, or Stripe store, or Speedway store, or Laredo Taco Company, or Raise the Roost. It's different for everyone, and that's part of the diversity message.
Yeah, it goes back to consistency you were talking about. Even though it might manifest in different business processes, priorities, the underlying principle the same?
Exactly. Exactly right.
We just heard about the rising power of Gen Z. All of us, well, if you're a manager, you know that well. And I wonder how that's changed 7-Eleven so far. You talk about the need to be flexible and work workforce needs are different, training needs are different with newer employees. I wonder how that's manifested in your role.
So I think it's showing up in a lot of different ways. We're, first of all, listening to our employees so that we understand what that value proposition needs to look like. And we've got work to do in that regard. So I am not telling you that we have checked all the boxes and we have all the answers, but we are absolutely making strides in that. And so we use our team members to help tell the story about why 7-Eleven is a great place to work.
So and peer-to-peer.
Peer-to-peer, and we have a campaign, in fact, that our talent acquisition team launched to attract new talent that says, I am 7-Eleven. It underscores the diversity message because the people who tell the story all look different, but they tell their why I am 7-Eleven story, which attracts people to the organization. And then it also, within the organization, helps others understand how they can move their careers and do different things, grow their careers, and ultimately achieve what it is that they want to do aspirationally.
Unfortunately, we're getting close to the end. Could I ask you, Treasa, what's the best piece of advice you've gotten in your HR career?
So early on, one of the things that I was told that didn't really make sense to me in the moment was in every situation you have an opportunity to be a student and a teacher. Okay. And what I've learned over the years in HR, how that has evolved for me is educating and being educated. So being educated about the business, understanding what's happening outside of the four walls of my organization, understanding what's happening inside the four walls of our organization, understanding what's happening with our team members, and then being able to educate others about what we've learned, doing that in a way that they can digest it, but also doing it in a way that compels some kind of action. I think that's probably the best advice that I've learned.
Well, I think that's a fantastic note to end on. Treasa Bowers, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.